Alright, let's go to the orange one himself. I want to turn on. What do I want to turn on? It's just you, Nafi. It's just me and you. And Eric. Eric's in here. There's no leafy Y. You can rest safely. It's okay. All right, let's. All right, let me see what my sound like. Test. Properties. Cancel. Oh, actually, I hear something. Oh, y'all can already hear this? Oh wait, no, I can just hear it because because I have my headphones on. You guys can't hear this, so let's get what do I need? Desktop. Boom, there it is. Okay, cool. Test. All right, cool. Y'all can hear now. All right, so I'm gonna turn this up. Look out, Clyde. What's good, man? Hit up the Facebook. I don't know who this CG something is, but join up Suge Knight. Y'all all join up on YouTube. I'm about to go live and listen to Trump's triumphant return and see what it's all about. So let's get ready for that. Let's make sure my screen's ready here. And also, I think I'm going to go off on the stream for yeah. All right, cool. Let's get a little closer and let's listen to what this idiot has to say. Okay, here he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Let me know if you guys can hear that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Beautiful out here this time of year.
Nafi, can you hear him?
In the past 9 months, my administration has initiated the single greatest mobilization in U.S. history, pioneering, developing, and manufacturing therapies and vaccines in record time. Numbers like nobody's seen before. No medical breakthrough of this scope and magnitude has ever been achieved this rapidly, this quickly, and we're very proud of it. And I had tremendous help from
Deuces
the
IG.
military, generals, admirals, and many of the great people at the White House. Operation Warp Speed is unequaled and unrivaled anywhere in the world, and leaders of other countries have called me to congratulate us on what we've been able to do, and we've helped many countries with their ventilators and all of the problems they were having, and I'd like to congratulate everyone involved in this effort. It's been an incredible effort. As a result of Operation Warp Speed, Pfizer announced on Monday that its China virus vaccine is more than 90% effective. This far exceeds any and all expectations. Nobody thought they'd get to that level. And we have others coming which we think will be at equal level, maybe more if that's possible. In July, my administration reached an agreement with Pfizer to provide $1.95 billion
Thanks, Nafi.
to support the mass manufacturing and distribution of 100 million doses,
Okay, real
with
quick.
the option to purchase.
Oops. I hit the wrong button. Every time he tells a lie, I'm
A
just...
total of 600 million.
So, this is a lie. His administration has nothing to do with the development of the vaccine. They only paid to have access to it once it was ready and available. That's all. They have no affiliation with the creation of this virus, so that's a straight up lie.
Investment will make it possible for the vaccine to be provided by Pfizer free of charge. Pfizer said it wasn't part of Warp Speed, but that turned out to be a unfortunate misrepresentation. They are part. That's why we gave them the 1.95 billion.
And once again, he's even acknowledged that there is a discrepancy. The discrepancy is they just paid for access. They didn't pay for them to make it. They're not part of Warp Speed.
Dollars, and it was an unfortunate mistake that they made when they said that. We will work to secure an emergency use authorization, which should be coming down extremely soon, and my administration will then coordinate the distribution of the vaccine, and it will be approved. I think, again, it will be approved very, very quickly, we hope. The average development timeline for the vaccine, including clinical tests and manufacturing, can take 8 to 12 years. Through Operation Warp Speed, we're doing it in less than 1 year. If you had a different administration with different people, what we've done would have taken, in my opinion, 3, 4, 5 years, and it would have been in the FDA forever. This is 5 times faster than the fastest prior vaccine development in history.
This guy is a lunatic.
5 times faster. Say it again, 5 times faster. Nobody can believe it, actually. 3 other vaccines are also in the final stages of trial. They'll arrive within a few weeks, and they will also be mass-produced, and the delivery will be very rapid. We're ready to go. The vaccine will be distributed to frontline workers, the elderly, and high-risk Americans immediately. It will be a matter of weeks. Get out very, very much ahead of schedule. Any schedule that I said we're going to be far ahead of.
It's just hard to believe anything he says. It's just incredibly hard to believe anything he says.
With underlying health conditions, while over 99.98% of those under the age of 50 make a full and quick recovery. By giving the vaccine to high-risk individuals right away, we will dramatically reduce hospitalizations and deaths. Case levels are high, but a lot of the case levels are high because of the fact that we have the best testing program anywhere in the world. We've developed the most and the best tests, and we test far more than any other country, so it shows, obviously, more cases. By vaccinating the elderly and the high risk, we will effectively end this phase of the pandemic and allow seniors to reclaim their golden years, the golden years of their lives, which is so incredible. And it's about time that they can have those golden years. Again, this process is starting right away. Millions of doses will soon be going out the door. They're all ready, waiting for that final approval. As soon as April, the vaccine will be available to...
Like, he's talking as if he's done, like, something different. Remember, I showed you this map of how Australia and the rest of these countries are fine because they took it serious. But this idiot didn't.
But he wants to take his time on the vaccine. He doesn't trust where the vaccine's coming from. These are coming from the greatest companies anywhere in the world, greatest labs in the world. But he doesn't trust the fact that it's this White House, this administration. So we won't be delivering it to New York until we have authorization to do so, and that pains me to say that. This is
that
a very
is crazy.
Amazing.
We have to stop
90%
that.
And more.
This madman just said he's not going to send the vaccine to New York until he's not going to give American citizens who live in a certain place access to the vaccine until the governor acts nicely for it. This guy is a lunatic.
But so the Governor Cuomo, will have to let us know when he's ready for it. Otherwise, we can't be delivering it to a state that won't be giving it to its people immediately. and I know the people of New York very well. I know they want it. So the governor will let us know when
What?
he's
Now
ready.
he's on YouTube
He's
now.
had some very bad
Yeah, I'll be taking the vaccine,
editorials
Eric.
recently about
I trust
this
the German.
statement
Germans
and
make
what's
good
happened
cars,
with
so I know they
respect to
can make good
nursing homes and
vaccines.
his handling of nursing homes, and I hope he doesn't handle this as badly as he's handled the nursing homes. But we're ready to provide it as soon as
He took an L
they
and
let
he
us
won't
know
let it
that
go.
they'll actually use it. And again, it's a very safe and a great vaccine. Already we have among the lowest case fatality rates, our country, anywhere in the world, the entire world, and we performed significantly better than our peer countries.
No, you haven't.
As far as therapeutics are concerned, my administration's also made critical investments in therapies that have helped reduce the mortality rate by 85%. That's, to me, one of the most exciting
Not for you, fool. You're
things.
gonna have to
It's,
take it. You work in
incredible
the
some of
government.
the
You have no choice.
antibody vaccines and others that have come out.
It's
and
not a
really
states'
helped
rights
people.
issue, Eric.
85%.
He just wants
Last
Cuomo
month, the
to
FDA
beg him,
approved
and that's not
remdesivir,
necessary.
And we've
That's not
secured enough
necessary.
remdesivir to
He's such a
treat
baby.
850,000
Trump.
patients. My administration finalized an agreement with Eli Lilly to purchase the first doses of their antibody therapy, which shows amazing results. This treatment will be available completely free of cost to patients. 5,000 units have already been shipped, and many more are going out the door as we speak. We've also reached an agreement with AstraZeneca for the large-scale manufacturing of their antibody treatment, which is excellent. We expect to issue emergency use authorizations for a number of additional treatments in the near future. Tremendous promise, but remember the 85% number. That's an incredible number, but we have some tremendously promising drugs online and ready to come out. We have ensured that our frontline workers have all the tools they need.
The disappointing
My administration's invoked
legislation,
the Defense
the blue
Production Act
majority
and
will
related
push. I'm
authorities
sure
over
we'll
100
be back to
times
bombing innocent
and have
countries
made
in
a
no time.
historic
We're still
investment
bombing.
into our
We're
industrial
currently
base.
bombing innocent
All
countries
states
right
that
now.
requested
So
PPE from the federal government
talk
have
about your own
received
party
the
first,
PPE
Eric.
almost immediately upon request. Every American who needed a ventilator has had access to a ventilator. Think of that. Very complicated piece of equipment, very expensive. And we haven't had one person in this whole country that has requested or needed a ventilator that hasn't had it.
no, that's a fact.
Every
Because
single
Trump
request
won't.
has been
We
immediately
literally are
filled.
talking about the
So
person
that
who
was
won't
something
admit
that was
he
a great
lost
job.
the
And now we're
election.
helping the
He's
rest
not
of
going to
the
admit he
world
lost the
with
election right
ventilators
now.
because it's
So he
really the
wants
right thing.
any victory
We're
he can
producing
find.
them
He is a child.
thousands of
He is a
ventilators a month.
child. Stop
The
defending this
federal
baby,
government has
Eric.
22,000 beds immediately available for states and jurisdictions that need additional capacity, but we think that it's going to start going down, possibly very quickly. We'll see what happens. But with
He's
the
still
vaccine,
saying
you'll
this
see
is a lie as
numbers,
well. Every time he says the virus is going away or we're turning a corner, he means we're turning a corner into a wall that is going straight up. The cases are worse. Is worser a word? The cases are worse off now than they were in April. We're getting worse, and this because of this orange Oompa Loompa. He can't get out of office soon enough.
going down within a matter of months, and it'll go down very rapidly. As we continue to combat the virus, our economy is rebounding far beyond any expectations. I see the stock market's up almost 400 points today again, and
No
it's
one
ready
cares
to break
about the
the
stock
all-time
market,
record.
Trump.
Our jobs
People are
records
dying.
are incredible. The job numbers are incredible. In the last 6 months, we've created over 13 million jobs and slashed the unemployment rate by more than half.
You created
Last quarter,
13
we
million jobs
witnessed
after
the fastest
creating a
economic
deficit
growth
of
ever
jobs.
recorded
You're
in
an
the history
idiot,
of our
Trump.
country, 33.1%. It's a number that is more than double our highest. That was in 1952, and we've more than doubled it. The United States experienced the smallest economic contraction and the most rapid
Nafi, what are you
economic
talking
recovery of any major Western nation. We went down less. And
Nafi,
we
have
went
you
up
shared
more,
this? Have you
which
liked
is
this,
quite
Nafi? Have you
a
shared this
combination
yet?
of facts. While healthy Americans have gone back to work and to school, we continue to spare no expense to
Can't troll me if I'm
protect
winning.
the elderly and the
Shoot.
vulnerable.
If I get all the
According
things
to
I
some
want,
estimates,
you can
a
troll me all you
national
want.
lockdown
Troll me from
costs
here
$50
to
billion a
Bangkok. It
day.
don't matter.
And hundreds of thousands of jobs every single day. Ideally, we won't go
If we
to
win
a
the
lockdown.
House
I
and the
will
Senate,
not go.
it's
This
game
administration will not be going to a lockdown. Hopefully, the the whatever happens in the future, who knows which administration it will be. I guess time will tell. But I can tell you this administration
lost!
will not go to a lockdown. There won't be necessity. Lockdowns
You won't be here for the
cost
lockdown.
lives,
You lost.
and they cost a lot of problems. The cure cannot be. You got to remember, cannot be worse than the problem itself. And I've said it many times.
He's such an
And
idiot. He's
when you
such
look
an
at what
idiot.
happens during a lockdown, I just say it very loudly. It's horrible what happens with drugs, alcohol, depression, loss of jobs, business closures. It's a terrible.
I want to get a tally up. I guarantee you, I can say this with confidence, that the amount of people that committed suicide is less than the amount of people that have died from COVID in the same time period. That's a running stat I can live with.
Terrible thing. So this administration will not go, under any circumstances, will not go to a lockdown, but will be very vigilant, very careful. We understand the disease. It's a complicated disease, but we understand it very well. We ask all Americans to remain vigilant, especially
Shout out to the one
as
person
the weather
watching
gets
on
colder
Twitch,
and it becomes
Twitter
more
right
difficult to go outside and to have outside gatherings. And with that, I just want to ask some very talented people to come up and say a few words. General Perna and Dr. Slawi have been incredible. The general is really getting started right now, but he's really, what we don't know and what people don't know, he started putting this all together 6 months ago, and you're going to see some real action. So, General, maybe you'll start it off, and then, Doctor, you'll go right after that. Thank you very much, and then we're going to finish it off with Mike Pence. Okay? Thank you, please.
Trump is such
Thank
a
you,
child.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hi, everybody. So Operation Warp Speed's mission is to enable and accelerate the development of vaccines and therapeutics to help control the COVID-19 pandemic and save lives. On May 15th, almost 6 months ago to the day, we stated the goal of the operation, which was to have vaccines and therapeutics available and approved for use in the US population by the end of the year 2020. We said then that while very challenging, the goal was credible and therefore was worth trying with the best, our best to achieve it. Today we're almost 6 months later, and I think we can say that significant progress has been made. And while we are not there yet, we are close to the objective. Let me share with you some facts. If I look at the vaccine side, we've selected a portfolio of 6 vaccines using 3 different platform technologies, and we elected to have 2 vaccines from each platform technology. First platform is what's called messenger RNA, and 2 vaccines using that platform were in the portfolio, one by Pfizer and one by Moderna. The second platform is using what's called live viral vectors, and we had 1 vaccine from J&J and 1 vaccine from AstraZeneca in partnership with Oxford University. And the third platform was the recombinant protein platform with 1 vaccine from a biotech company here in the US called Novavax, and another one from a partnership between Sanofi and GlaxoSmithKline. These vaccines are now, 6 vaccines are all in the clinical development stages, and 4 of them are in phase 3 trials. And of the 4 that are in phase 3 trials, 2 have effectively completed enrollment in the phase 3 trial, and one of the 2 has announced on Monday, to I think thrilling information, that they had 90% efficacy. That was the Pfizer vaccine, demonstrating that vaccination is possible against COVID-19, that the kind of choices we have made in terms of the antigen selected was effective and made us optimistic that other vaccine may also be effective. On Wednesday, the same week, just this Wednesday, Moderna, the other company with the vaccine using similar platform technology, messenger RNA, announced that they have achieved the number of cases in their trial to allow for a first interim analysis, and I would expect that shortly, probably next week, we may hear what I hope to be another very good information regarding an efficacious vaccine. The two other vaccines that are in phase 3 trial that are using the live vector platform, the J&J vaccine and the AstraZeneca vaccine, have recruited already a few thousand subjects in their trials. I would like to take this opportunity to invite as many Americans.
So this is what he's about to say is super important. A lot of these these vaccines, basically, if you don't grasp what he's trying to say, is basically they're just now getting to a point where they're comfortable testing it on humans or testing it in large batches of sets. So I don't honestly believe this vaccine is coming out this year. I don't think this vaccine will be ready for consumption till summertime, in preparation for the winter. It just depends on what the numbers get to. But these vaccines are not ready right now. This is a false sense of security.
As possible, who would like to volunteer to participate in these clinical trials.
You see that right there? Asking on national TV for fellow Americans to jump into this? That's a bad sign.
That's the only way we are able to achieve a demonstration of the safety and the efficacy.
That's a horrible sign.
The last two vaccines, the recombinant protein vaccines, are planned to start their phase 3 trials within the next few weeks. And while we are developing this vaccine, we haven't only looked at the clinical development, of course, in partnership with the companies.
Yeah, a second option is you can just get a lung transplant.
We also invested very significantly in the manufacturing of this vaccine in such a way as to, when we have the clinical efficacy,
thank God the markets are closed right now, because Trump would have destroyed.
We would also have vaccine doses to be able to immunize the U.S. population.
What the hell?
So the two vaccines that are completing their phase 3 trial are likely to be filing their files with the FDA for a potential emergency use authorization within the next few weeks. And hopefully, if
shout out to the stock market helping me out.
Used for immunization in the U.S. population in the month of December. And we plan to have enough vaccine doses available for use in the U.S. population to immunize about 20 million individuals in the month of December, and another 25 to 30 million per month on an ongoing basis from there on.
35 million per month.
And
we couldn't get
March,
testing
if we have more
in the millions
approved,
a month. We still can't get testing in the millions.
Vaccine, we may be able to immunize a larger number of Americans.
And he's not talking about how difficult it is to maintain these vaccines.
Operation Warp Speed didn't only focus on vaccines. We also looked at therapeutics. And we have worked with a number of companies developing monoclonal antibodies, in particular, that are able to neutralize the virus. As Mr. President said, we have announced partnerships with Eli Lilly, with Regeneron, and with AstraZeneca. And on Monday, Eli Lilly's monoclonal antibody was granted an emergency use authorization.
Shout out to the 3 people watching with me right now.
Patients that are infected and at risk
Share
of hospitalization.
this, like this.
The Regeneron monoclonal antibodies have been also filed for emergency use authorization, which is currently under review and is potentially reaching approval within the next few weeks. And finally, AstraZeneca just in the last few days has received a green light to start 2 large phase 3 trials with their monoclonal antibodies supported by Operation Warp Speed to prevent the acquisition of COVID-19 disease in very frail subjects or in very high-risk subjects as a protective alternative to a vaccine. So, potentially 2 vaccines and 2 therapeutics may be granted an emergency use authorization before the end of this year. I think it's a remarkable achievement within a period of 6 to 7 months. It is important to note that this progress has been achieved without any political interference. I said it many times. And at every step has been and is being judged by independent expert bodies, whether it's when the FDA grants the green light to go into clinical trials, or whether when the data safety monitoring boards review the safety of the studies on an ongoing basis and sometimes put them on hold, as I'm sure you have witnessed with the AstraZeneca vaccine, for instance. And these same data safety monitoring boards are the independent boards of experts
Once again,
that
Eric,
analyze the efficacy of the vaccine.
your party's still in charge
and the
right
safety
now,
of the
and they're doing a
vaccine,
shitty job.
and tell the companies
Take care of your
whether,
own party.
they should progress with the filing of an emergency use authorization or not. So
You
it's
can't
not
drop
the
any facts on my
companies.
party about my party
It's
that I
not
don't know.
Operation Warp
This
Speed.
isn't my party.
It's not the
I
US
just
government.
hijacked it so I could
It
win this
is
election.
independent
My
experts
party is being born
that
in these
assess
streets
the
right
safety
now.
and the efficacy of the vaccines that are being tested. And when the FDA will review these vaccines and these therapeutics, they will
Who are you
also
people
have the advice,
watching this on
public
Twitter right now?
advice from
Say something.
boards. One of them is
You're
called the
creeping
board
me out.
is
Oh,
the
you just
advisory
left.
board
Okay,
to
I guess
the
I was
FDA
wrong.
for vaccine reviews.
Never mind. Carry on.
After
You're right.
review
The
of
Republican
of
Party
the-
isn't
of
your
the
party,
data,
but for some strange reason you
transparency
claim
available
them.
to everybody to look into.
You
before
voted
the
for
FDA
them
then make its
for
decision
no
to
for
either
your
authorize
reasons.
the vaccine
I'll never
or
forever
not
be able to
authorize it.
understand, even if you explain them.
On
But
that
like
basis,
this is
I
your
personally
this
feel
is the
very
people you
comfortable
voted
to
for.
say
People who okay
that
with
the
lying
vaccines and the
out
therapeutics that we
outright,
have helped
just
develop
in your
and
face.
accelerate
At least my part, at
will
least
be
the party I
judged
voted for,
independently, and
they
if
lie.
approved, should be used
between
by
the
all
lines.
in the population. Because I
Your
believe
guy up here
vaccination
talking
is
about a
likely
vaccine is
to
going
be
to be ready by the end of the
cornerstone
year.
among all the other measures that we have to take
He won't even
to
tell
help
people
us
to wear a
really control
mask.
this pandemic. I will now pass to my co-leader, General Perna, who will tell you more about
Oh,
the
here comes
support
this
that the
crazy.
operation has provided to manufacturing of the vaccine and also to their distribution. Thank you very much.
They did not switch or sanitize.
Mr. President, thank you for allowing me to continue service of our great nation as the co-leader with Dr. Monsef Salawi on this mission. Let me start by emphasizing for me
Why is there a
what is
military person
Operational
up here,
Warp
not
Speed
a
about.
doctor
It is
guy
about
up here?
saving lives. And it is a Herculean task that the President put
And
us
why come
on
they didn't
many months
sanitize in
ago.
between each person?
And as
That's
Dr.
kinda
Salawi just laid out,
gross.
we are making steady progress and we are
Oh,
ready
you're back.
to execute.
Who are you on Twitter?
Through the
Say
whole
something.
of American
Stop
approach,
watching
we have
me.
leveraged the best of nation in federal government, local, states, industry, and academia
Hey,
to
one
expand
person
the
on
capacity
Facebook.
and capability to achieve our mission. It has been powerful. We have capitalized on the best contracting, logistics, and planning experts available to synchronize and integrate all phases of the operation.
This guy is boring,
from
so we're gonna
development
mute him
of the
so I can argue
vaccine,
with Eric real quick.
manufacturing.
I won't mute him all the way. I voted only for Trump, not most of those other clowns. The majority of people in the ballot were blue. Okay, you could have voted for Trump, but Trump is the biggest clown. Why did you waste your vote on a monster who has no... He's like, look at him. He hasn't said anything about COVID, the election, other than Twitter since November 4th. That's who you holding down? Stop that's the person? A loser? That's who you want to defend, Eric? All right, defend him. See, you're worried about trolling me. How are you ever going to live this clown down? You threw your vote to this guy.
Vaccines will be allocated pro rata by population so that we ensure fair and equitable across.
It's not going to be fair and
We need
equitable.
the
There's
state
nothing about this administration
part
that's
of the
fair and
planning
equitable.
to accept the vaccine. We are working closely along with the CDC, the 64 jurisdictions and states to ensure vaccine can safely and quickly get to those who need it first. And then we have plans to ensure that it spreads exponentially across our country and that no place is left without a vaccine. At the end of the day, our success is going to be judged by the availability of the vaccine as shots go in arms. It is the partnerships we have formed with the pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Moderna, distribution companies like McKesson, FedEx, and UPS, and pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens that have agreed to do things differently, to think, how can we get this to the American people in the most rapid and expeditious way?
Expeditiously.
We will be successful because of this all of America approach, this collaboration, this effort that everybody is leading towards. I will end where I started. This is about saving lives, the lives of the great American people. And we will not rest until we are successful and that we have irreversible momentum to returning our nation back to normal. Thank you, Mr. President.
34 people at one point were watching this on
job.
Twitch, on
Alex,
Twitter.
please.
Who are you people? Is Trump coming back up there? Once again, no one is sanitized in between
Mr.
touching
President,
those
for
mics.
providing the leadership
Gross.
that's gotten us where we are today. The success that Operation Warp Speed has realized so far has been made possible only because of the bold vision you announced not even 6 months ago, right here in the Rose Garden. To highlight 3 of the remarkable accomplishments we've seen just this week. First, Pfizer announced very promising data on its vaccine candidate. Second, the FDA authorized and we have begun to distribute and administer Eli Lilly's monoclonal antibody to help Americans at risk for serious disease stay out of the hospital. Third, another vaccine company, Moderna, announced that it's reached a critical clinical trial milestone, meaning we may see data from them within days. Back in the spring, we were told by all of the experts that a vaccine was a year or a year and a half away, and the announcements I just highlighted would have been unthinkable. The president said that's not acceptable, and thanks to the support he's provided, we're now on track to deliver a safe and effective vaccine to our most vulnerable this year. As I worked with the president to assemble this team and organize this effort, his support was indispensable at each step of the way. We went out and found the very best people on the planet to do the job, who you just talked with. Dr. Slaoui, the world's most successful vaccine developer. General Perna, one of the world's most qualified logistics leaders. When I first talked to Dr. Slaoui and General Perna about our goals and recruited them to this effort, we dreamed of being at the point we're at today, on track to achieve the incredibly ambitious goal we set together. The president gave us the full financial support we needed, enabling us to invest more than $10 billion to de-risk vaccine companies' development efforts and manufacture product in advance. Our completely unprecedented partnership with the Defense Department has given us a comprehensive public-private plan for distribution and helped each Operation Warp Speed vaccine maker secure what they needed for manufacturing, including Pfizer's ongoing production this week. Operation Warp Speed has always had one goal: saving lives. The President has given OWS the independence it needs to achieve that goal and ensure that we're following the procedures that Americans expect for any medical product they take. At every step, ensuring patient safety has been our top priority. This process has been driven solely by science and data. So it's a shame that some, one example being the governor of New York, have actually injected politics into the process and suggested the possibility of intentionally delaying access to an FDA-authorized vaccine, which is simply unconscionable. Because the President has delivered the full funding we need, the best people on the planet, and real independence for this project, Operation Warp Speed is doing something that's never been done before in history. This success means there is light at the end of the tunnel. Right now is not the time to let our guard down. We continue to encourage Americans to follow the 3 W's. Wash your hands, watch your distance, wear a mask when you can't watch your distance, and avoid settings where you can't do those things. Because of the incredible American spirit, because of what great scientists and public servants and innovators have done through Operation Warp Speed, we have such a bright future ahead of us. If we continue to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities, then I firmly believe that future will be here very soon. Thank you, Mr. President, for making that very bright future possible for the American people.
Mike Pence, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and on behalf of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, I was grateful to just have a few minutes today to commend the team of Operation Warp Speed. It was your vision that we could harness the ingenuity and the creativity of America's greatest pharmaceutical and research companies to speed in record time a vaccine that would save American lives. You told the American people that we would have a vaccine before the end of the year, and some scoffed at that timetable. But I can tell you the team on Operation Warp Speed didn't. These great research companies didn't. And as you've articulated here, Mr. President, the American people can be comforted with all the news this week that help is on the way, that literally pending FDA approval of the Pfizer vaccine and perhaps very soon another vaccine that will be submitted by Moderna and even other companies, that before the year is out, we'll be able to administer a vaccine to tens of millions of Americans, as you've said, Mr. President, beginning with those most vulnerable, beginning with our seniors all across this country, beginning with our healthcare workers and first responders at the point of the need. It is an unprecedented medical mobilization, the greatest in the history of our country, and I join you in commending this team. Let me also say, Mr. President, that the White House Coronavirus Task Force will be meeting with our nation's governors in our regular conference call this Monday. We'll be reviewing with them the progress on the development of a vaccine, our plans for distribution, but we'll also be reviewing each and every state's specific plans for distributing the vaccine. Continue to urge governors to have those plans developed and prepared and ready for immediate implementation. And finally, Mr. President, as we see cases rising around the country, as we see
Mike Pence,
hospitalizations rising
Mike
around
Pence,
the
what
country,
Mike Pence is saying is
I
irrelevant.
want to encourage the American people with the news that, as we have done from the very beginning,
but basically Mike Pence's whole entire party or like working staff, they all have COVID right now. Like they all have COVID. Like Mike Pence is the absolute scumbag of the earth.
Meeting, Mr. President. We're receiving requests from states for PPE, for personnel, but we're meeting all of those requests. And according to our team on the ground, we continue to believe that we'll be able to meet the requests for PPE and equipment, both from the Strategic National Stockpile, also from the commercial market, to make sure that those needs are all met. And the American people can also be confident because of the system that you established, that since this past July, we're actually able to track PPE, gowns and gloves and N95 masks on a hospital-by-hospital basis. So we can continue to deliver, as you said, Mr. President, on that extraordinary record in America where no American who's ever required a ventilator has ever been denied a ventilator. No American who's ever required an ICU bed has ever been denied an ICU bed. So the good news today,
we're at 66% capacity, and once we hit 75, that's going to be the breaking point of our country's hospital efforts. It's so stupid the way they lie.
Encourage every American that we're going to continue to make sure that our healthcare system has the resources to support the equipment and supplies that they need. And we also, Mr. President, as we see cases rising, particularly in the heartland of this country, but in communities
places
all across
that they voted
America,
Republican.
every American, as the Secretary did, and as you have, continue to practice good hygiene, wash your hands, practice social distancing, wear a mask when that's not possible. We all have a role to play. We all know what to do to protect the vulnerable, to look after our families and our neighbors and friends. And we encourage every American, with all the good news this week, to continue to be
good news this week. Y'all lost.
The health of yourself, your family,
what
your
good
neighbors,
news?
Co-workers,
y'all lost,
and friends first. And we'll get through this, and we'll get through this together.
Not with you. Not with you.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Of course he's not going to take any questions. Of course he's not going to take any questions. Of course he's not going to answer any questions. Of course he's not going to answer any questions. That is great. That is excellent. That is everything I wanted it to be. All right. So Trump basically, like, all right, let's get into it, I guess. We can talk about this a little bit. So many lies. I don't even know where to start, but I'll say this again. Wait, who do we have here? What's your question? Oh yeah, no questions. No, he's Art Dog. He is not about that life. He is not about that life. Like, that man knows he took an L, and he is not about that life right now. So he's even during the speech, he didn't want to concede. But let's get into it real quick, right? So let's unpack some of the things he said. One, there's no vaccine coming this year. The vaccine will just not be ready. It just won't be ready for distribution, setup, all of that stuff. They're literally still begging people to join testing trials. So how do you expect the test to be the vaccine to be ready? Two, if you think this administration had anything to do with the development of a vaccine, you're a fool. Because you have to also acknowledge that they're the ones that let this shit get out of control in the first place. They're responsible for 250,000 people dying from the coronavirus in America. I don't even think have we killed that many people overseas this year? Like, that's the biggest amount of, that's the most death due to anything this year. Like, it's baffling to me how this is going unquestioned. Two, and then finally, their administration doesn't have to worry about a lockdown because they're not going to be here. But that is what it's going to take. A lockdown, 4 to 6 weeks, in my personal opinion, for all of this stuff to kind of happen and go away. And it's just impossible. It's impossible to really understand, the loops, the mental loops that this guy has jumped through. Let's take a second to actually look at this fool's,